Every so often, a guy walks onto a tennis court and nobody has a clue who he is.
First time I ever met the guy, and he was playing, and he and his partner were seated, and I'd never heard of him. And he lived in, and it showed his address is Atlanta, and I said, how can a guy who's be seated, who's my age, me not know who he is?
And I see a guy sort of nervously looking around, a real tall guy, and he had on a Columbus College warm-up jacket.
Well, I proceed to watch this guy serving, and he's just bouncing serves over fences and stuff. And he's got this monster serve, and he's this big, tall guy. He looks like he's a giant. And I'm watching him play, and I'm going, this guy's really good for somebody nobody's ever heard of.
And he laughed, and he said, like he always said, he goes, but remember, I ain't country club, I'm blue collar.
But it didn't take long for David Mathews to become a superstar on the seniors USTA circuit. Count them, 11 national championships in all, and he's one of the very rarest players to win senior titles on clay, grass, hard, and indoor. He was Georgia Adult Male Player of the Year twice, and boy, did he turn heads.
David is one fine tennis player. David was serving the ball, he told me at that point, about 140 miles an hour. And in Camilla, we don't see a lot of 140 mile an hour serves.
It does carry somewhat of a burden, though, and that is that if you happen to lose and being his partner, you're going to be walking around the grounds of the tournament figuring that everybody's looking at you like, well, that's the reason that David Mathews is out of the doubles brackets.
He's one of the great Georgia senior players of his generation, but a Hall of Fame invitation could come just as easily from his day job. Mathews owns and has run a tennis academy in the Stone Mountain area for many years, and his impact on up-and-coming players has been incredible.
What's up, big dog? I just want to say thank you for all the hard work you've done over the years. Many years ago, I just want to say thanks for just helping me develop a work ethic and determination and belief in myself that I could push past the limits that I thought I had, whether that was grinding around Stone Mountain on bikes early Saturday mornings, or hover relays, or those nasty time circuits where some of the newer kids would sometimes lose their lunch. It really helped me just to further be successful in life.
His philosophy is teaching life through tennis. Hard work, dedication, practicing a lot really makes you a better player. Hitting as many balls as possible. He's from that old school that if you put in your time, that you will reap from those benefits.
If that weren't enough, he's the coordinator of the Georgia Tennis Foundation's YMCA Tennis Georgia program, which introduces at-risk kids to tennis through summer clinics.
We've been doing that for a number of years, probably about 10 years. And until Dave got involved in, say, the last 8 years, we have really taken off because of his expertise. We deal with probably 1,000 or more kids in a summer. The program is a summer program, and we deal with 1,000 or more kids in the summer and get them excited about the basic fundamentals of tennis.
Eastlake YMCA tennis courts were covered in weeds, and David, who lives kind of not far from Stone Mountain, went over there one day with his kids, and I'm going to guess his daughters were probably at the time 8 and 10, something like that. And when they got to it in their pictures, when they got there, the weeds had grown, were taller than his kids were. And he got the whole family out there with a sickle and a blade, and they hacked it all off. And there are, the whole, and it's pretty indicative of how the whole Y program has worked its way through, and maybe even a bit symbolic in the sense of David cut down the weeds to make a spot for these kids, and now, 10 years later, without Dave Mathews and without David's involvement, not just there, but in helping all of the pros and recruiting all the pros to do this at all the YMCAs throughout Atlanta, we would not have a Y program. David deserves an unbelievable amount of credit for that.
That kind of resume should be enough, but his colleagues and friends point to something else.
I think if I were to try to describe Dave, he's absolutely a teacher. He's a phenomenal tennis coach. He's a great player. He's competitive as anybody you'll ever meet. There's a fire that burns inside of him that I've tried to capture at times in my life to be successful.
What Nan and I like so much about David is his passion for his family. There's no one more important than his wife Janice, and of course his two daughters, Nikki and Sarah. The last time he was in Camilla, frankly, that's all he talked about. He didn't talk about his tennis. He talked about Sarah's volleyball and how well she was doing.
I've known Dave for about 25 years, and I am more honored to tell you about the person, the family man, the humanitarian that Dave is. I have never known him to say no. He treats everybody, kids, adults, treats them equally well. And that is the part that I'll always remember when Dave Mathews' name comes up, is the humanitarian family man that I see.
Congratulations to David Mathews, a 2013 inductee into the Georgia Tennis Hall of Fame.